Welcome to Deep Conversations Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Stewart, and today I am here with a director, a writer. I could go on and on. He's his work has been produced and found in TV One, Viacom networks, BET. But I'm so thankful that he's on my podcast, and I want to introduce you, Mr. Noel Calloway.
My brother, appreciate your time. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. It's always good to have people on the podcast who are driven. Their mentality is just to work and get better every single day. And the things that you do in your work, you get to see different personalities. You know what I mean? And you can also create personalities in your work. But before we get into all of that, I want you to tell me how it all started for you and your childhood.
So interesting. I grew up in Harlem, born and raised Harlem, New York, in like 80s, 90s. So crazy times.
Yeah.
And television for me was a safe space. I know that now in hindsight, right? Like I fell into shows that showed a world that I wanted to live in because my world was crazy, right? And then I love to write. Like that's just a natural thing. I always loved to write. And so I would try to write, television shows and movies, even as a young kid, not really knowing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so those two things, just that creative spirit and then that escape that TV and TV families and TV shows provided me is what compelled me to, enter this as a career. And I'm one of the lucky people. Like I've known I wanted to be a writer for like ever. I wasn't sure what kind. I used to want to write like sports journalism. And then I gravitated more toward creative writing, but wanting to write is something I can say I can't remember not wanting to be a writer.
I think that's interesting because it's writing. It's a creative. It's like a creative genius almost. You know what I mean? Because you can, you have to tap into your thoughts. You know what I mean? And to be able to tap into your thoughts and put that down on paper and then make that a reality, that's something that is, first of all, it's difficult to do. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I know my cousin is a writer. He writes children's books, and he said that sometimes you cannot turn your mind off.
Yeah. The world don't stop for you, right? Like I love to write. So it's honestly these days, because of all other things that's happened in my career and in my life, writing, getting the time to write is almost like a reward. So it's like some people, like it's work, right? Because what I do for a living. But once I've taken my daughter to school, made sure everything's good with her, taking care of the house, taking care of the business from a producer side, from a director side. And I know like, all right, I've checked all those boxes. Now I can sit and just be me in a script. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's when, all right, I can lock in. And it's tough because like you said, not being able to turn your mind off. You're thinking like, did I do this? Did I do that? Is that straight? Because I'm going to literally leave this world and go into whatever world I'm creating as a screenwriter. And so to be able to do that, I got to make sure I paid the car note, my daughter's set, wife's set, the movie, everything that's happening with the movie is set, is in order. Okay, cool. I could dive into this script for the next few hours and not have anything else tugging at me.
Yeah.
And so that's a challenge, to carve out that space and just have that peace that's necessary to tell a story in the right way.
Yeah, because sometimes, like you said, with wife and kids and family and stuff like that, it's some days you might find yourself having to wait. You know what I mean? And you gotta put it on an extra day, extra day or two, and it's and that's hard, especially when you're, like you said, your mind is working, and it's like, I got to get this out. You know what I mean?
deadlines, other people that are waiting. So I'm not at a place where I'm just writing for me anymore, right? Like it's usually someone waiting to read the script so that we can take it to the next level. Like right now, I have a film that we're set to shoot in 2 months, and I'm rewriting the script right now, and I really haven't had time to give it the attention that it needs. So I rewrote it, and then when I had time to read it, it really wasn't good. Like, it just wasn't good because I wasn't focused on it, right? So I had to scrap it, well, at least the new parts, and I'm rewriting those again because I'm very, like, it has to be good, right? Like, I'm not going to get it out fast. I'm not going to get it out however anybody wants it. It's got to be good, right? If it's not good, then it's not worth doing. And so, you know, so I'm in that position right now because I'm promoting a film. You know, again, I'm taking care of my family and those obligations because that's job one. No matter what happens in my career, like this, I have the biggest film I've ever done set to come out. It's the biggest career opportunity in my life, but it does not trump being father to Kellen, you know, and husband to Letitia. And as much as they support me, I'm gonna do my job, right? I'm gonna make sure that I'm there, you know, to help with homework, you know, to talk to her about basketball and the coach and, you know, whatever is required of me as a father is always gonna trump everything else. And I live that. Like, that's not something that, you know, it's not a job to me. That's just, that's like breathing, you know? And so that happens, and then I can get into everything else. And the beauty of it is everybody in my life knows that. Like, that's not something everybody knows. 8 o'clock, I'm dropping her off at school. Whatever time she gets off, I'm picking her up. And nobody's trying to set a meeting with me. Nobody's trying to have a call. That first 30 minutes when she gets in the car, they know, leave me alone. I'm going to check in with her, see how her day was. We're going to talk, have that moment, and then everything else can happen. And that's just how I'm going to govern this life. And career will happen. Success will happen. Everything else is going to happen. Like, I'm not ever, it's never one or the other for me. Like, I can do them both. But the priority stays making sure that, you know, that job gets done at 100. Know, so.
And I think that was, you know, what you said was so important, you know, for people to hear, because again, we were talking off camera that, you know, we get a lot of bad rap. You know, there's a lot of thoughts that, you know, most black men aren't in their children's lives. Most black men do not take that as the number one priority. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, to listen to you and to, you know, how passionate you are about that. Like you said, everything it's work, but everything has to come after this moment, because this is the number one priority. You know what I mean? And that's something that, again, like you said, as a man, it's not work. You know what I mean? That's not work. That's something that's love. You know what I mean? That's it. That's just what comes from love from it. And I just think that's a, I guess I want to congratulate you on that. You know what I mean? Because me being a father, me being a husband, and, you know, trying to, you know, do your work and everything like that. But I think a lot of people tend to lose the essence of what was here already. You know what I mean? What
it's all for.
Yeah.
Like, what is it all for? Is none of this means nothing if home ain't good, right? If I'm not giving this child a chance to be everything that she can be in this world. Right? Like, if I'm not doing that, if my wife's not doing, if that's not our priority to move heaven and earth so that she has a shot to be all that she is destined to be, right? We're not going to be a part of the problem.
No.
You know, we're going to support her. We're going to prop her up. We're going to gas her up. We're going to do all of that, right? And also, I'm going to lead by example in my work and make sure that I show her excellence and I show her drive. I show her work ethic. And those things, like I said, that's like breathing. And I
It
learned
is.
that from and a lot of I think, just to speak to the point you made about some of the misconceptions about Black fathers and Black men in general,
Mm-hmm.
those are outdated notions to me, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that is really played out because the men in my circle
Mm-hmm.
are fathers. They're active. Like, even we do stuff with our kids. We trade war stories about our
Mm-hmm.
marriages, our relationships. I feel like what happened a generation or two ago is not what's happening right now. And I'm not saying that there aren't families that are having trouble, or men that are not in their children's lives, or even women that are not in their children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it was is not the way it is,
No,
right?
no.
And so the more of us that are out there showing it, and which is a challenge for me because I don't do this for the cameras, right? Like, I don't
Yep.
do this for any recognition. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is really how I live. And
Mm-hmm.
and I know most fathers who live like this, we're not posting no pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling anybody to come videotape me dropping her off,
I
even when she's
know.
a baby. Like, I'm just doing it, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading a bedtime story. I'm not setting up a camera to read a bedtime story. I'm reading a bedtime
I know. See,
story.
but that's how social media can get you, because if you got time to do that, you're not if you're
You're not
really
you're not in.
yeah, and if you're really in your child's life, you ain't got time to be setting up nothing. It's too chaotic. It's too
Yeah,
it's too chaotic. And
yeah.
by the time everything settles down, that's just like, all right, the day might be over, but now my day for the things that I want to get done, that's starting now. You know what I mean?
I gotta
Everything
lock
comes
in.
first.
Yep,
Yeah. And
yep.
I wanna speak to that because I read when I was reading your bio and everything, you said as you got older, you seen the mindset of the inner cities in our communities. And I want to speak about when you took a trip to Africa. How did that change your life? And then how did you coming back home and seeing the mind state of us, growing up, and why do you think that's different?
Um, I think, well, one, the timing, right? Timing is key in everything in life, right? So I was fortunate enough to go and visit South Africa at one of the darkest times of my life. I had just lost my mother,
Mm-hmm.
and at that moment, I'm feeling like there's nothing to live for,
Mm-hmm.
right? I always, my mother and I, close doesn't begin to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
I parent the way I parent because of the way she parented me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I am the father I am because of the mother she was. And I think a lot of us who are raised by single Black mothers, or single mothers of any background, if we took a cue from them in terms of how they love so selflessly, I think that will make for better fathers. And I give that full credit for why I am the father that I am. And so I was in this dark space, and you know, Dr. Lorraine Monroe, principal of my school, Frederick Douglass Academy,
Mm-hmm.
saw that, and we were close, and she was close with my mother, and she saw that, and so she put me on this South Africa mission where we took Black dolls to the townships after apartheid ended, and because they were not allowed symbols of Black beauty under apartheid, dolls, art, toys, that was all illegal. And so now that apartheid was lifted, we hand sewed Black dolls. This group that I was a part of, we had to learn to sew, and we made Black dolls, and we took them and delivered them to children in the townships. And so it gave me perspective, right? Like, and I think I pride myself on having perspective. Like, as much as losing a parent was heartbreaking to me, there were children who never knew their parents. There were children who, I'm not gonna get that one. There were children who never knew that, and that's actually another sponsor call. But
Yeah.
that one, they've been dragging their feet, so they can wait.
Yeah.
And so they didn't know. Like, there were children living in homes without a floor, right? Like, you got four walls and ground underneath them with a hole to use the bathroom. right? But when I met with these kids and when we were able to interact, right? And I've always loved children, and I was a teenager at the time. They were like joyous, right? Like they were full of joy and hope, and there was no like nobody sitting there slumping because of their circumstances. And that slapped me in the face because here I am feeling sorry for myself. Suffered the biggest tragedy. I think one of the biggest tragedies anybody can ever suffer is losing a parent as a child. But even with that, there are people who have suffered worse, and there are people who are suffering at that moment, right? And it just made me appreciate life. It made me appreciate the gift that my mother had given me, which was the ability to go on and everything else that she had taught me. And so I was on that trip, and it just really changed me. Like I'm not the same person that I was before going there. You know, I was very my mind was small, right? My viewpoints of the world was small. That was my first time on an airplane, right? I hadn't been, you know, to Disney World or to you know, to California. My first trip out of Harlem was to South Africa, and so it showed me that the world was way bigger than my block. It showed me that there are people around the world who look like me that aren't what I've seen on TV, the misconceptions of what Africans are, right? And now that has shifted a great deal today. But in the 80s and 90s, right? Like the way we looked at Africans, the way we were taught to look at Africans, and the way Africans were taught to look at us, right? Like I walked over there and they asked me, did I know, was I in gangs or did I have a gun? Like these are questions I got from African teenagers, right? And I stayed in a 5-star hotel. You know, we partied, like we partied with the teenagers from Africa. We had like a party with a DJ and everybody danced. And so it's like, no, man, we are way more alike than we are different. And the perceptions of Black and brown people from around the world are all distorted, right? To the point about the way Black fathers are viewed. These distorted views don't come from us, which is why I take my job as a storyteller very important. I take it very seriously, right? I don't let the establishment change my stories and compromise our imaging, right? I don't do it, and I won't do it, right? Even if it means taking the long way, right? Because there were films I was offered over the years to direct where I didn't feel like it represented us right. And this is me with $5 in my pocket and a negative bank account saying no, because I'm crazy enough to have strong convictions. You know, I'm crazy enough to believe in my mission. And you know, I don't mean to be preachy about any of it, but I'm gonna tell the stories the way I think they should be told for us, because I speak for people like us. And that's not to say I speak for all Black people, right? I think we've had filmmakers like Tyler Perry speaks for an audience, right?
Exactly.
Spike Lee speaks for an audience. I speak for an audience, right? And that audience, some of them, I speak for us, and then it'll resonate with people that aren't us because it's real. And so, and I think every film that I've been able to make, that has been the response, is the authenticity of it. And it's fun. I'm you know, this is a serious conversation, deep conversations, right? But we like I'm stupid. Like we have fun, we lighthearted. Like so what I write reflects that, but it's always gonna be intelligent. Even the comedies, the stupid stuff, like my characters, they're gonna be intelligent, right? And they're gonna represent us in a way that we can all be proud of, from grandma down to the 5-year-old. And I would never want any of my films where the elders in our community, even when it gets raunchy, I got some stuff that's got some curses, some violence, some whatever. But in that, I want them to understand that it's a respectful representation of everyone in our community. And I'm putting characters on the screen that are really us. and I don't think that exists all the time. So I take that responsibility real serious.
Yeah, I'm glad that you explained it the way you. I'm glad you explained it the way you did, because we that's kind of what my platform is too. I want to, like I was telling you, I want to build a space to where I represent us the right way. You know what I mean? And to talk about, like you said, everything with us is distorted. I'm gonna tell you a little story. My one of my older brothers, he's married to a Haitian girl, right? And they've been married for a while. They got, they have children. And we were sitting around and we were talking, and she's got her papers and everything now. But going through that process, she said, when you finish, they have an auditorium where I guess everybody gets kind of like a little graduation. But she said the thing that threw her off was they run a video towards the end to just explain to you about what America is and stuff like that. And she says, in the video, she says there's a part in there where they talk about, the dangers of America, and these are the people that you look out for. She said, and it was Black people. She said they had, you see people they got the drones around. She said these are strategical videos to teach people. She said this is why you see Africans and other foreigners look at Black people a certain way. It's because of what they teach you before you come over.
I'm smiling because I tell people it's in the commercial. Like
yes,
what you just described, like what we consider problems of the system are actually the system. The system is not broken. The system is working the way it was designed to work. We are in the process of breaking the old system and creating a system. Right. And so, yes, like I'm laughing because I know people. I know some African people that are, new citizens. I know some Haitian folks, some of my, good friends. I'm familiar with that video.
Yeah.
Right? Like I haven't seen it, but I've heard that story. So that's why I laugh, because yeah, man, we in the commercial as the bad guy. And this is something that's generational, that's embedded generation after generation after generation. And so it's nothing that one man or one generation is going to change.
No.
But we have to be the people that, again, bring light to it, right? Because that's insane that exists, right? Like that should not exist.
It's like you look at it.
So important.
And it's like you look at it and it's like, or when you hear it, it's like, that shit's crazy, because it's like, talking to you, this is the first time I'm having a conversation with you, and I'm like, your spirit, you can tell that your spirit is right. You know what I mean? But somebody outside of us will look at you and say, it'll bring like a nervousness, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And it's like, that shit is crazy just because there's a little tin on there.
Bro, a guy I know, and I won't say who he is because this will go everywhere. Yeah. It's easy to pinpoint who he is, right?
Yeah.
But he said to another person I know to be careful with me. This guy, the first guy is white, the other guy is Dominican. The white guy said to the Dominican guy, be careful with that guy. He's dangerous. Bro, there's nothing that I have given him to think I'm dangerous. There's a person who I interact with. I say hello, he says hello. I say good morning, like it's normal, right? And the fact that he would say that I'm dangerous, it just underlines the point that people have been indoctrinated to feel a certain way. Like I'm not big, bro. I'm 6 feet, 195 pounds. Regular size human.
Me and you are the exact same height and weight. It's crazy. Like,
yeah, I'm not, but we are big Black men. In certain circles, we are big Black men. And I navigate different circles. Like my daughter goes to private school. And so I'm in those circles, and these are my people. A lot of them fight for us more than some of us fight for us in terms of my people. Right. And so this is not a black-white thing. Right, because there are people of all shades who are for us, and there are people of all shades who are against us.
Yep.
And so for me, I'm about those who are for us, right? And because I'm trying to build a different world for my baby to live in and for her babies to live in. Like, that's my mission. Like, it's nothing complicated when you know your mission.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yep.
If you know, like, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to leave a legacy, to tell stories that are timeless, that people can watch for generations. Like, we watch movies from the 80s and the 90s over and over again. I want to be able to do that. And from a personal standpoint, I want to build a world that I'm proud of, that I put good out in, and people who come in and out of my life can say that they're better once they leave me than when they got to me. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And so I don't care what shade you are. If you for that, I run through a wall for you.
We good. Exactly. Yep.
And if you're not, I'm gonna run you over.
I was just getting ready to say, it's like, if you're not, I'm like, I ran through the wall, I'm gonna run through you. Because nothing, like you said, it's nothing simple. I mean, it's nothing difficult. It's like, once you know, I'll tell you another quick story before we jump into your how you started at Clark University and everything. But we beginning of 2022 January, I had a 9-to-5, right, and been there for 11 years. And I said to myself, I was talking to God, I'm walking around and I'm talking to God, and I'm like, look, I know what I want to do now. I finally figured out what I want to do, and I know in my spirit this is what I want to do. So I go and I'm like, I said, I'm gonna just put my head down. All I ask is that you get me out of here by December 31st, but I'm gonna continue to work how I work. You know what I'm saying? So I'm working, I'm doing everything, and boss pulls me to the side one day in December 16th, exactly. She says, December 16th is your last day. And I started smiling, and she was like, "You're right." She was like, I know, things can be tough. And I'm like, you don't even know what I asked for way back then. You know what I mean? And I'm like, and you could automatically think in your head, it's like, you know what? It's going to get rough, financially it might get a little rough, but you can't ask God for something and then he comes through with it and then you stress on it and don't have faith on it. Yeah. So it's like, just let it happen.
That's my daughter's birthday.
Is it?
December 16th.
You see what I'm saying? See how you do? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it ain't no mistakes. Ain't no mistakes being made out here, man.
It's to me, it's like, it's crazy. And I wanted to ask you, because for me, I think college is an experience for networking. You know what I mean? We kind of tend to, obviously, you go and you graduate and all that stuff to figure out a way, things of what you want to do. But college is networking, the people that you meet and all of that, so explain the importance of you for the experience that you had at Clark University.
Yeah, man, it was another pivotal moment in my life, right? Like, I had options, right? I had different college options coming out of high school. I did, I was, B student, and I did really well on my SATs, wrote a really good essay. So I got into some schools that probably my grades probably wouldn't even allow me to get into. But Clark Atlanta, I visited, right? And I'm from Harlem. I didn't know a lot of people had gone to college before me, family, friends, otherwise. Now it's like we all go, which I love, right?
Yeah.
But up until that point, I only had one cousin that I knew that had gone to college. Shout to Odie. And so I went to visit these schools, and when I visited Clark, I didn't know a HBCU, when they say it's a black college, I didn't know they meant an all black college.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it would be like more black, right? Like, there would be like, a greater percentage of black students. Yeah. Nah, it's us.
Yeah. And teachers and everything.
Black. And so I get there and I'm like, okay, this is different, right? And I'm looking at you know, again, coming from where I come from, we are a certain type of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like New Yorkers, Brooklyn, Harlem, Queens, we all say how different we are.
Mm-hmm.
But from a macro view, if you're from somewhere else, we New Yorkers, right? And
Yeah.
we got a very similar energy, a similar bounce. And so going down there, I saw Black people from around the country, right? And this is just on a visit. This is before I even decide to go here. And I'm meeting women, men from California, North Carolina, Georgia accent, New Orleans accent, Texas accent. They telling me I got an accent. Yeah. I'm like, how the hell I got an accent? This is how people talk. And so I'm like, yo, it was eye-opening to see the world, even the country. Now, I went to Africa, so the world was bigger than my block. And now I'll go to Atlanta and I see that the country is bigger than New York. Right. And so I'm like, all right, I want to go to a Black school. Right. And I'm not going to act like it wasn't the ratio. Like it's 27 women to every man at Clark.
Oh, that helps. That helps.
And Black women are amazing. Right. like amazing. Yeah. There's nothing on this earth better than the Black woman. I'll stamp that across my forehead. And so that's the greatest selling point that Clark had for me. I said, I'm never leaving here. And
Atlanta.
So I'm never leaving this place. 1997, Atlanta, I ain't going nowhere. And then, so it's like medicine, right? They give you the candy. That was the candy. Mm-hmm. But then when I got there, I got to experience the culture, right? I got to have those on-campus debates. Shout out to my man, Jawan, with Morehouse students, because it's the AUC, it's Morehouse, it's Clark, it's Spelman. We're all together, and we're debating high-level concepts of race and equality, of politics, of sports, you name it, but you got to bring it and you got to be ready. And the level of intelligence that these conversations have, even as I'm approaching women, right? Mm-hmm. These are women that are requiring some conversation. Mm-hmm. The good ones, right? Some of them did, but the good ones required some conversation. Like I always remember this one girl, she was fire. This is before my wife, you know, I'll make sure my wife know I was there to study. She don't watch my stuff anyway, so it's cool. But she would say, like, she would never give me the time of day. She fire. I'm on her every day. Hey, let me walk you to class. Get out of here. Hey, let me buy you lunch. Get out of here. Cool. Semester later, I have class with her. Right. So I'm in class. Now, I hung out in front of the student center. Me and my guys, we were like a part of the campus. If I'm not in class, I'm outside. Yeah. So she thought that was all I was. Right. And so we get in class. She getting B's. I'm getting A's. Teacher's asking questions. I'm debating with the teacher. She's seeing a different side of me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yo, you're smart. I'm like, yeah, I tend to think I do okay here.
Like, what did you see when I came up to you the first time?
But like you said, the conception, like I'm outside like this, and I don't fault her, right? Like, because I want my daughter to make these same judgments. Exactly. That boy is out there acting a fool. Yeah. Think he a fool. Yeah. Until he proves otherwise. So I was out there acting a fool. So I don't fault her, but I tell that story because it showed me Black people are not a monolith, right? We are very diverse. Mm-hmm. Even in the 17 to 22-year-old college students, Black people, we are all so different and bring so many different things to the table. And it made me level up, right? It made me level up and it made me appreciate us more. Mm-hmm. And then to your point about networking, like my best friends, my business partners, people that I do work with, people that are supporting my film, people are calling like, yo, what can I do? I'm a Delta. Let me get all the Deltas on board to support the film. You know, the Spotify guy is an HBCU grad, not from Clark, who said, oh, you went to Clark. Let's figure something out. I actually shot something for him. He found out I went to Clark and said, what else can we do together? Right. And so that is when another misconception that we don't support each other.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Is bullshit. Yeah. Like, of course we do. There are crabs in every race,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are suckers in every race,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like people, it's like the whole ridiculous notion of black on black crime. Most crime is of the same race because y'all
Mm-hmm.
next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So they come up with these things and they put them out there for reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that notion that we don't help each other is sort of like the tail wagging the dog, is to get us to not help each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't feel like a jerk when you don't help your brother because you think this is the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
No, I am a testament to I'm self-made in that I have believed in myself and bet on myself, but I have done nothing by myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing I have accomplished has been alone. Nothing that I have been able to do hasn't been supported by someone or some group or everyone, right? I had a shift years ago where I stopped trying to win to prove people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I really started fighting to win to prove people right, because I need to prove right everybody who believed in me. I need to prove right everybody who still supports me, even though this journey takes as long as it takes, right? I'm not an overnight success. I've been at this almost 20 years, right? And so there are people who have been at every screening. There are people who have reposted every post.
Mm-hmm.
Before there were posts to repost, there are people who have forwarded every email. And I love them and I want to win because they need to be able to say, look, one of us won, right? They don't want nothing. They don't want anything. They just want to say, look at him. That's one of us. That's mine. Because
Mm-hmm.
we not islands, man. I belong to 153rd Street and 8th Avenue.
Exactly.
I belong to Frederick Douglass Academy, to Clark Atlanta University, to the Calloways, the Bats, the Wards, the Rays.
Mm-hmm.
We belong, right? And so either we're going to show our ass and be a stain on those people we represent, or we're going to show out and be, a representation in the right way. And so, yeah, man, Clark meant a lot to me. And I do my best to represent it the right way.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing your thing. Like you said, you've been at it for 20 years. We have a tendency to this. My dad always says, it's the microwave generation. Everybody wants stuff instantly. You know what I mean? And he's like, everything, money and stuff is going to come. Once you find yourself chasing that, you're never going to catch it. Money's going to run away from you. If you make yourself accessible, and make yourself worth something or something that you can give, that money is going to walk itself to you. It's going to walk you down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just think people need to learn to have patience. You know what I'm saying? And like like you said, you being a representation of Harlem, you being a representation of Clark University, all of your experiences, how has that transferred for you into your creativity being a writer?
It's everything. Like these stories are not mine, really. Like they all come from real stuff. And I start with a very simple thing and I go with the what if. Like I have a film I wrote about me and my wife arguing with the GPS, right? Like she's always saying the GPS is trying to kill us, and I continue to listen to her. And so I wrote a horror movie about the GPS trying to kill us.
Yeah. And people can relate to that shit.
That's my writing, right? Like I got married in Aruba, so my destination wedding was dope. We had an amazing time. Mm-hmm. So this film, Aurora, started from me wanting to put on screen a Black family on an island having an amazing time at a wedding. That's where the idea came from. And now my wife did not go missing on the day of the wedding, but my imagination allows me to take these nuggets and take them in every direction. Mm-hmm. But Harlem informs my stories. I love education. I've taught children. I've coached children. So there's always a teacher in every one of my stories. I promise I don't do it on purpose, but I look up in the script and I'm like, oh, I got 2 teachers in this one too. Yeah. It's a testament to the teachers I had. Like I value them so much. And I want to show them on screen too. And so, yeah, everything in my life, everybody in my life, and I tell everybody, I give them the disclaimer, anything you say might end up in a script. I will not give you credit. You will see it, you will hear it, and you'll be like, "Oh, I said that to him," and that'll be that. That'll be the credit you receive.
I was getting ready to say it's just you can run with that.
Exactly. So yeah, it all influences me, man, and I love it. I've lived a real life. Like I've lived a real life. I've been outside. I've been traveled. I have real friends. I got real family, and so I have endless stories to tell, and I have endless information to put into these movies. I'm not making stuff up, right? I am making it interesting. I am connecting it. I am painting a picture for the audience, but it's all coming from everything that I've lived and experienced. That's why I write here. Like you can see the cities behind me. Like I'm writing. Like there are times I'm writing the script and I get a name I'm in Starbucks and I hear they say Julian, and I'm like, oh, his name is Julian.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, everything informs my writing.
I think I don't know when I was reading your bio and stuff, you know, it just reading all the stuff, you know what I mean, and hearing you talk about it now is like you have such a unique way of bringing people in, you know what I mean, and you know, to, like you said, to be a writer who wants to show us the right way. I don't think people realize how difficult that is because we are such a broad spectrum of personality and you know, again, you know, TV or social media, it may show us one way, you know what I mean? But like you said, you know, it's there's black teachers, there's black lawyers, like you said, growing up in the 80s and 90s, which I did myself. I'm 38 years old. I think that one of the number one TV shows for me was The Cosbys. You know what I mean? Because that gave you a sense of, I don't want to say I don't want to say worth, because we always have worth.
You wouldn't be wrong, because think about it, man. They showed us as worthless.
Yeah, good times.
Across the board, they showed us broken, right? It's like they like to see us broken. I don't know who it is that likes to see people that way, but there are people who wanted to put us on the air broken. And for everything that show represented was art, culture, intellect, music, education, family, love. That was a loving couple.
Yeah.
Those were smart children. Those weren't perfect children. Those weren't perfect parents, right? But it gave us, like, that was what I wanted to emulate. Like, I have no shame in saying that is the family I wanted to create. Short of having all them kids, because it's slow for that. But but that is what I want my house to look and feel like, right? I want my house to feel like warmth and love, and they putting on fashion shows, and they, you know, they got different family coming in, and that's what we live now. I'm proud to say that, you know, we have a life that reflects that, right? Different, right? It's never gonna be the same. I'm not. I don't wear the sweaters.
You know, exactly.
But that's who we are, man. And so yeah, shows like that have informed what I want to create, right? And I want to create stuff where people can be proud. Like when you watch Aurora, and when everybody watches Aurora, what I'm most proud of is you're gonna see a beautiful collection of Black people that are traveling. They're all doing well in their life. The little brother is ratchet and messy. The sister is nosy and overbearing. Don't let her hear me, because she has her perspective.
But that's real.
The parents are loving, right? The guys are handsome. The girls are pretty. The clothes are nice, right? Like, but it's not cheesy. It's not corny. There are imperfections. There are good guys and bad guys, right? We can do all of that and still be respectful to the culture. right? Like there's a villain in the movie. There's a sucker in the movie. Like there are people who make mistakes in the movie, but you don't have to do that in a way that disrespects the culture.
Yeah.
Right. And that shows us in a bad space. We can make drug dealer movies. We can make inner city violence movies. All of those things are real. Like we should tell all our stories, right? But those shouldn't be the only stories we tell. And when we tell those stories, we got to be careful not to let the wrong people in the room start crafting that message, because we're not one dimensional, right? The dude that sells crack still got a mother. He still got a father. He's got
kids.
Probably had a church home.
Yeah.
Right. And some things might have happened and he deviated and he might be a bad guy. Right. And he might be a guy that we want to see locked up. He might be a guy we want to see killed in the movie. Like his ass gotta go. Those are all real things. Right. But don't paint him as this one-dimensional monster. Right. Because they don't do that with the white bad guys.
No.
Right.
Never,
they give the white bad guys some depth, some layers. Right. And then you can understand.
And there was a reason he got to that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thanos wiped out half the world. But we got his perspective.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's what and some people look at him as a superhero.
Right. And so I just want that for us. I just want, no matter what you do, and that's what I shout to Ryan Coogler in the way he is portrayed Killmonger, the way he portrays his bad guys. Like the more of us that are allowed to tell stories, the more honest the stories will be.
Exactly.
Right. And that's all. Like that's it. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
Like I want to make 10 more of me. That's my goal. I want to make 10 more of me. I want to make 10 more writer, director, filmmakers, producers that have never done it. If I don't do that, I have not succeeded. No matter how much money I make, no matter how many movies I make, if I don't make 10 more, if I don't empower 10 more storytellers that look like me, male and or female, then I have not accomplished my mission.
See, and that's how I know that it's going to work for you, because there was nothing is about you. You know what I mean? A lot of times people get into a space, or a space where there's a little bit more opportunity, and their only concern is me. You know what I mean? And you, the whole time you've been here, you just been saying if I can do this, it's going to help this person over here. If I do this, it's going to help this person. So, and like you said, sometimes that's taken a long way, because that's the genuine way. You know what I mean? It's so many people are on top that are, like you said a little earlier, broken. You know what I mean? That's what that is. And it's I'm just trying to help me. I don't give a damn about nobody else. Think about it in school, growing up in the 80s and 90s. School for us, when they talked about history, for us, it started for us as a slave. It was never nothing before that. So we already started captured.
Foundation.
We started captured. We started beat down. We started, kidnapped and all this kind of stuff. So that trains your mind into automatically thinking, well, you see them and it's like, well, you know what? They are better than me. You see what I'm saying? And it's it's no knock to our parents or whoever we was around. That's what they were taught too. You see what I'm saying?
They were victimized.
Yeah.
They were victimized.
Yep.
And it took the select few of them who broke through that and said, nah, that's not it. We are kings. We are this, we are that. Like that was a select small group. Right. And then from them spawned a bigger group. And from that bigger group has spawned us.
Yeah.
Right. The group that said, hell no, don't play with us.
Yep.
Right. And we're raising a generation of people who are now going to not even like my daughter, man, like there's nothing, her standards are to the moon.
Yeah.
Like so I got to check her sometimes. Like I took a little ass to Starbucks today because she was a little sluggish this morning and I wasn't there when she got downstairs. And she had an attitude. And I'm like, I get it because you shouldn't be waiting on nobody. But guess what? It's me. You gotta fix your tone of face.
See, and my daughter, and it's funny, I always like listening to other men's stories, and we had this conversation. My daughter should be 12 Sunday, actually, right? But like you said, the standards that she has, sometimes I'm like, damn, man, like, but I want them that way. You know what I mean? They're
Yeah,
supposed to be like that. And it's something about a daughter, it changes you because before you had a
yeah,
daughter and how we were, like you said, down in college and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't want my daughter dating me
yeah,
when
yeah.
I was.
I don't even like my whole life viewpoint is different. Like,
Yeah,
and
yep.
like it's just a different world. Like I do disagree though, and maybe some people will disagree with me. I think if my daughter met someone like me, I think it would be fine because I was always very candid. Um,
Yeah.
like I told them what it was, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had at least that much respect. Now I did sometimes put a little cut on it. There was a little, little
Yeah.
remix. But I always looked at it like I can't be a sucker to
Mm-hmm.
her, like to my, like I'm just not a sucker to my people. Like
Mm-hmm.
my friends know, like I got the same teams. I've been rooting for the same team since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Like I don't switch. Like I don't switch
Mm-hmm.
on my folks. And so, but yeah, man, I like our kids are a generation that are not gonna take
Mm-hmm.
the shit that other generations have taken. Um, their lives are different.
Mm-hmm.
Their examples are different. Their access is different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I love it. And one thing I'll say to you, because I had to challenge myself. Someone checked me on this. Another
Mm-hmm.
parent, a little older, a woman. She's a little older than me, and I was talking about how the kids at my daughter's school don't need. I teach a film program, and
Mm-hmm.
I've taught it in public schools. I've taught it in private school. I've taught it in community organizations. And I said the kids here don't really need my program because they have all the access and exposure. That's not who I designed the program for. I designed it for kids who don't have the same level of access and exposure. And she checked me and she's like, well, our black and brown kids, while they may have access and exposure by being here, they don't have access and exposure to someone like you that they can see and touch and know cares about them, right? And is walking those footsteps that they may want to walk in. So while the school itself might have every resource in the world, and a lot of the kids here might have it, our kids still need you to do it here.
Yeah.
Our kids still need to see you walk in these halls being you.
Mm-hmm.
And it opened my eyes because even your daughter is blessed and your daughter is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
There are daughters that look like our daughters that still need someone else to step in.
Yep.
and throw a block for them, right? To show them a different type of man, right? And it's not just doesn't mean that their father is not there. It might mean that their father is not equipped on certain levels,
Mm-hmm.
right? It takes all of us, right? There are some things that I'm gonna fall short on.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that there are my cousins, my brothers, my people can fill in those gaps, for my baby, right? In areas that she might be interested in where I'm not strong.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to always just kind of support each other. So once she taught me that, I said, every chance I get, I'm gonna share that because I don't want to ever get complacent with this mission of it's not just my kid. There are kids that are still a generation behind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like in terms of what they're exposed to, right? There are kids that still live in that 80s, 90s life,
Yeah.
Around this country and around this world. And so we still got a lot of work to do. And the fact that I feel like I'm doing okay doesn't mean that the work is done. So,
Yeah.
that's me talking to myself more than anything else because, I got to stay present with that.
Yeah. Now I got two more questions for you, but
Yep.
what's your vision moving forward after everything you learned in the film industry?
Just the biggest one is making timeless films. Like that's the creative, selfish goal is I want to be one of the greatest storytellers that this industry has ever seen. Like I want to have at least a handful to a dozen films that people can reference and say, that's my movie. Yeah. Right. And watch it over and over again. And when their kids become of age, I got to show you this movie. Right. Like there are films that I have to show my daughter. Right. Like you got to watch this. This is a movie I love. I want to make those. I want to make those. And the second part is to make more filmmakers and let them tell their stories, because I am not trying to tell all of our stories. I can't tell a story of a young man from South Carolina who grew up with his grandparents and wanted to be a surgeon. I can't tell that story.
Yep.
I don't know it. But there is a young man whose story needs to be told, right? There's a young woman who went through X, Y, or Z and needs her story told that's going to reach other young women. I can't necessarily tell that story. And so I want to empower more Black and brown people to get into this business and have the freedom to do it their way, so that we get the wide range of stories that other cultures are afforded. I don't want nothing special. I just want the same opportunity and the same breadth of stories that other cultures get, right? And so I can't do that alone. The way I can do that is by empowering others. And I have a team. I got like 3 or 4 directors that are with me that are going to get an opportunity to direct. I have a couple of writers that have stories that I'm going to help bring to life. And then they may become superstars. And the only thing I'm asking them to do is do that for 5 more. And if we all do that, then it'll balance the images, right? Like look at Quinta Brunson. She's telling a story, right? And we need more stories like that.
Yeah.
So that's a Philadelphia school. I'm sure there's a California school that needs a story, because we don't deserve just one. There's 17 white school shows.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what. No, it is. Yeah, you're right.
So those are my goals. That's what I've learned, and that's what I want to accomplish.
So what has, okay, go back to little Noel, right? And then to Noel now. What have you learned about yourself mentally and spiritually throughout this entire process of your life?
The biggest lesson is that I don't know as much as I think I know. Even now, like I used to think I knew everything, and now I know I don't know everything, but I still think I know a lot. But I check myself and I tell myself, you really still don't know anything. And that keeps me learning. That keeps me open to perspective. That keeps me open to following. You know, I'm a leader in most of my circles, but I've learned to follow, because you have to. I want to have people around me that are worth following, and if I don't, then I'm not a good leader. You know, and so that is a very valuable lesson that I've learned. And then the other thing is just no wasted time, no wasted motion. You know, like you just got to get at it. If you want something, when I look back, we all waste a whole lot of time. And just really differentiating what's wasted time and what's time well spent. You know, getting rest is not wasted time. You know, we have to rest. Reading, learning, it's not wasted time. Like everything doesn't have to be directly aimed at your goal. Sometimes you're building yourself. Like this conversation is worth my time because it's helping me understand and articulate, and you and I, like this exchange is valuable. This exchange,
yes, it is.
I'm growing from this, right? And so just understanding what's valuable from a time standpoint. I was in the gym. I got a business call. I text, I can't answer the call right now. He was offended. Told me I got this network on the line. I'm like, all right, well, I'll call him back.
Yeah.
Because I got to put this hour into my body.
Yeah.
I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's a response to not feeling like myself and not having the stamina to attack these goals. So just appreciating all of that, man, and appreciating time is another valuable thing that I've picked up.
And the one thing I learned from you is you have such respect for yourself that you demand that everybody else around you respects that time as well. Like you said before, with you go to pick up your daughter, y'all know not to call within this time. Give me a half hour and all of that. And even now, to where you said, I'm in the gym. This is for me. I ain't been feeling right. I got to make it in here. And you said he was offended. Okay, well, I'll call him back. But what you're not going to do is steal this time from me here that I know is necessary. You know what I mean? So that's a lesson right now that what I've learned from you. Because sometimes, I'm up editing late night. I'm editing all of these videos and I could be editing for hours. And it's like some days I'm like, whew. And it's like, all right, you got to learn to.
Yeah, listen to your body, man. And it's hard when you're ambitious and you're chasing something.
Yep.
But listen to your body. And I mean, it's like with me, I was a couple minutes late here, but I respect your time, right? So I'm like, this is what's happening. Let me communicate. Let me do my best to not be late. But if a lot of times not what you do is how you do it. Just being respectful. Anything I want from someone, I'm gonna make sure I give that. Like I'm not better than anybody. At making movies, I think I'm better than a lot of people because I am competitive.
Yeah.
But as a human, my time is not more valuable than anybody else's.
Oh yeah.
My respect is not more valuable than anybody else's. Right? Like, let's be considerate of each other. Like let's just put that out in the world.
Yeah.
And that's who I am. Like, I don't care if you're 3 years old, right? I'm gonna say, excuse me.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm gonna respect my elders to a different level. And that's what I was raised on, and I think we should all just really continue to reinforce that. I'm not gonna say get back to it because I think it's still here, but we got to reinforce it. We got to make it the norm, make it cool, make people understand. Treat people how you want to be treated. Like, it's not complicated.
Yeah, a lot of people on the block, man, they're not truly happy because I feel like that's a facade. You know what I mean? That's something you're trying to portray to keep people away from. It's just be yourself, man. It's one thing I learned growing up. Just be yourself. Half of the people in high school that you may have tried to impress, you don't even remember their names.
Yep. And the people you're gonna meet today. And I had this conversation with a friend. If you give people power, like, nobody has power over you, right? If you let somebody ruin your day, you let somebody ruin your mood or, make you feel a certain way, and words hurt, like, words have meaning and power. I respect that. However, it's up to you how powerful you allow those words to be. Right? Because there's certain things, and I don't care who a person is, there's certain things someone can say to them that is so far-fetched they won't be offended. Right? Like, if you're 6'8" and somebody says, "Oh, you little," not offending you.
No.
But if you 5'8" and somebody says you're little, because you might feel little.
Yeah.
Now you're offended, right? So if somebody calls you an idiot, and unequivocally you're not an idiot, you're not offended. If there's a kernel of doubt,
man,
where maybe I am a little stupid, then you're gonna be offended. So I just want I like to take full ownership of my responses to people and what I allow people to make me feel, because I am in control of those things. And that, I think, is my greatest blessing, is my faculty of being in control of myself and being aware of who I am.
Mm-hmm. Noel, I'm gonna tell you, man. Before I got on this podcast, I obviously didn't know. I was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know. It's the unknown. But as soon as we got on and talked, like everything went away. Like you said, this conversation and this everything has been valuable for me. You know what I mean? As hopefully, like you said, it was for you as well. And I just, we need more. We need more people like you. We need more men like you. We need more people who are driven like you. You know what I mean? Who has a vision of opening up the world for people. You know what I mean? And it also it's entertaining too. You know what I mean? So you got a friend for me in me. You know what I mean? Forever. When I come down to New York, I'm definitely going to reach out to you and everything like that. And try to our schedules can connect. When this I edit the videos, so usually I put out a snippet, of the video to let people know what's coming. So I'll tag you and everything. But man, I appreciate you, man.
No, I appreciate you as well, man, for creating this platform. There are a lot of podcasts out there. All of them aren't for us.
Yes.
All of them aren't representing us the right way. So it's a credit to you that this is what you chose to do, right? You are also taking a long way because when you do good shit, it takes longer. You could have been ratchet and did something stupid, and you probably would have got a lot more attention early. Yeah. But this will it'll be what it's supposed to be. Make sure you watch Aurora on January 27th.
Of course.
Tell your friends and the people you don't like. Everybody watch it January 27th everywhere. Follow Aurora the movie for updates. We're giving away $1,000 right now in a contest, so people should tap in. Tell your folks, and yeah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, and shout out your social media and everything, so that can be on there too. So, and then when it gets close in the day and everything like that, I'm pushing all that stuff out for Aurora too.
I appreciate it, man. Yes, Noel.Calloway.films is my Instagram. For those who want to be in the movies, who want to learn about movies, who want to work with us, I respond. That's the best place to go. I post every audition. Any film I've ever done, I post there. One of my key cast members from Aurora sent me a DM on Instagram and ended up getting the role. And so, yeah, man, I don't just talk this, man, for real. Like I take chances. Like I don't mind taking chances if you're talented. So just tap in. I want to make more filmmakers, or let me not say that because I'm not making anybody anything. I want to give more people opportunities. Yeah. So yeah, man, let's do it. And when you're here, let's definitely lock in, man. I look forward to it.
Of course, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You're gonna be hearing a lot from me because I'm gonna stay connected with you. We're gonna network together and we're gonna build this thing up here, man.
Let's do it.
You're on YouTube, baby.